What is going on, guys? It is WrestleMania here, back with another video. Back in the glory days of professional wrestling, it was said that there were two kinds of Hulk Hogan vitamins, oral and injectable. The wrestling world has seen some amazing transformations, usually thanks to better living through chemistry. Here are 11 transformations that had fans wondering what happened. Keep in mind, we're not talking about character changes, but physical transformations. Number 1. Scott Steiner. Wrestling fans who started watching Scott Steiner when he was Big Brother Rick's tag team partner were in for a shock when Scott went solo. Steiner transformed from a collegiate style wrestler into the roided out genetic freak Big Papa Pump. Now sporting chainmail, a short blonde haircut, and muscles normally reserved for the Incredible Hulk action figures, Steiner's new look and attitude turned him into a main event star during WCW's dying days. Unfortunately, by the time Steiner got into the WWE, he had all the mobility of a toaster. Number 2. The Rock. Whether he was working the much hated saccharine babyface Rocky Maivia or the cool heel The Rock, Johnson always maintained a healthy physique. However, when the People's Champion moved to Hollywood, it saw him take things to a different level, with The Rock having to look great on the silver screen rather than the small screen. The Rock's looks have changed due to the demands of being a movie star, where one role may call for a bulkier Rock than the other. Whatever the role, you can be sure that The Rock's raised the fitness bar far above the level of Hollywood's candy-ass stars. Number 3. Triple H. Wrestling fans will never know what the 2001 Invasion angle would have been like had Triple H not suffered a serious quad injury right before the angle started. However, when Triple H returned the following year, it looked like he'd put on about 40 pounds of muscle. Hunter was huge, arguably the biggest he'd ever been in his career. We won't say that Trips got this look through a laboratory, but it's known that there are many risk factors for tendon rupture, but the most common predisposing factor for individuals involved in physical development and particularly competitive bodybuilding and strength competition is the use of anabolic steroids. Is it a coincidence that Hunter suffered the same type of injury in 2007? Number 4. Test. Wrestler Andrew Martin's height made him an excellent choice for the role of the Motley Crue bodyguard turned wrestler Test. Test got a big push during the Attitude Era, working in the corporation, then in a major program where he was engaged to Stephanie McMahon, only for Triple H to sweep in and marry her. Test worked for several more years in the WWE before reaching a mutual agreement to leave the company in early 2007. When Martin resurfaced in TNA as the Punisher, Andrew Martin looked like he'd been belted by gamma rays. The already muscular Martin had muscles on top of his muscles. Unfortunately, Martin died of an accidental overdose of oxycodone in 2009, less than a handful of days before his 34th birthday. Number 5. The Dynamite Kid. The tale of wrestler Tom Billington is a sad one, as seen by his last days in wrestling. The Dynamite Kid was a small man, but he made up for it through hard work and putting on muscle mass. Despite his incredible talent, many believe he would not made it into the WWF without adding that muscle. How he did so is open to conjecture, similar to tag team partner Davey Boy Smith's transformation from a small frame to a large one. However, by the end of Dynamite's career, it was obvious he'd lost a lot of muscle, and in all honesty, it's amazing he was able to move, let alone wrestle. Before long, Billington would end up confined to a wheelchair due to his many injuries. Number 6. Eddie Guerrero. Anyone familiar with Eddie Guerrero's career from his early days in Mexico and Japan, followed by his breakthrough in WCW, can see Guerrero started with a lean cruiserweight frame, but continued to get more muscular, particularly during his time in the WWE. The reasons why are obvious, but for those doubting Thomases out there, we refer you to a 2007 New York Daily News article that reported Guerrero received the steroids testosterone and androlone along with the estrogen blocker anastozole, a drug commonly taken by men on steroids to prevent developing breast tissue. November 2nd, 2005, just 11 days before he died of heart disease. Latino heat may have burned longer had Guerrero not used the performance enhancing drugs. Number 7. Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio's small stature made him an underdog during his days in WCW's cruiserweight division, and when Rey joined the WWE, his size made for some excellent David vs Goliath battles with titans such as Big Show and Kane. Ironically, Mysterio's size was never made more apparent than his 2000 feud with Eddie Guerrero. The bizarre program showed Mysterio battling for kayfabe custody of his then 7-year-old son Dominic, and Mysterio didn't look much bigger than Dominic. Of course, Mysterio's ability in the ring defied his size disadvantage, and he went on to win World Heavyweight Championships. However, fans can't help but wonder what's going on as Rey's appearance has changed dramatically during his time in Lucha Underground, as he appears bulked up bigger than any time in his career. Number 8. Jinder Mahal. After working alongside Heath Slater and Drew McIntyre as the three-man band, Jinder Mahal hit the indie circuit from 2014 to 2016. When he returned to the WWE, it looked like he'd hit the gym, and perhaps something else, as he's now sported an incredible physique. Wrestling's favourite curmudgeon Dave Meltzer commented around the beginning of that year that Mahal looked like he was hitting the juice, and while this observation is about as astute as noting the sun sets in the west, it's further evidence that WWE's wellness policy has more holes than Swiss cheese. Number 9. Brian Cage. Of all the wrestlers on this list, it's difficult to think of someone who has made as radical a transformation as 33-year-old Brian Cage. Cage worked for a number of promotions, including a run in WWE's developmental territory, Florida Championship Wrestling, but it wasn't around 2013 he developed a fantastic physique. Now working in Mexico's AAA promotion, fans just can't get over Cage's muscular frame. Number 10. The Big Show. The Big Show is one of the tallest men in wrestling, but he's battled to keep away from being wrestling's widest as well. Paul White's weight gain from his early run as a giant in WCW to his run in the WWF a few years later is impossible to miss. The Big Show seemed to have his weight under control when he battled Floyd Mayweather at WrestleMania 24, but before long it looked like he was hitting Pizza Hut's all-you-can-eat buffet with a gut that would have made the late great Dusty Rhodes proud. Recently, Big Show spent time working with Diamond Dallas Page, shedding a tremendous amount of weight. Rumor had it that Show was getting ready to lock up with Shaquille O'Neal at WrestleMania 33, who he battled in last year's Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. While Shaq vs. Show seems to have fallen by the wayside, it's good to see a lean, mean, gigantic fighting machine ready for action. And number 11. Ric Flair. Believe it or not, Ric Flair was a plus-size girl when he began wrestling in the AWA, so fat that he actually asked Dusty Rhodes if he could play his relative. In his autobiography To Be the Man, Flair explains how he got so fat largely from his time as Ken Patera's roommate. Before the Olympics, he was trying to become as big as possible. I began eating like him. We drink 2 gallons of milk and eat 24 egg yolks and all. Then go to Burger King for 5 Whoppers. He transformed everything into muscle. In my case, 40% of what I ate became fat. After the 1975 plane crash that nearly ended his career, Flair's physical rehabilitation saw him come back looking like a new man. Well guys, that about wraps up this video here. Just remember our new schedule from Monday to Friday. Every day a new video will be posted at 10 PM. So subscribe if you already haven't. And I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.